Welcome to the Manx Theatre Podcast.
Come on to the theatre.
Hello, welcome back to episode 51 of the Manx Theatre Podcast with me, Neil Callin. Thank you to everyone who's listened to our previous episodes. If you're brand new to the podcast, welcome along and thanks for joining us. In this podcast, we like to try and keep you up to date with what's going on in theatre on the Isle of Man, chatting to the cast and creators of upcoming shows, to find out a little bit more about the shows and the people behind them, and also what our Manx born and bred performers are doing further afield.
Coming up on this week's podcast,
I'm joined by two of the principal characters from the Douglas Choral Union's production of Andrew Lloyd Webber's Evita, which opens this Friday, the 9th of February. You can still listen to all of our previous episodes through the usual podcast outlets and at manxradio.com/podcasts. Whilst you're there, make sure to give us a like and click subscribe or follow or whatever it is you need to do to make sure you never miss an episode. In the last episode, I gave you a rundown of all the currently known productions coming up this year. But I forgot to mention Stage Door Entertainment's production of Steel Magnolias at the Balcomine Studio Theatre from Thursday the 14th to Sunday the 17th of March. There are two performances on Saturday the 16th at 2pm and 7:30pm, and a special 11am brunch performance on Sunday the 17th. What makes this especially awkward that I forgot to mention it is that my wife Emma is part of the cast and playing the role of Molyneux. The rest of the cast is made up of Christine Sutcliffe, Bryony Grant, Beth Thomas, Grania Jochen and Rachel Braidwood, and is directed by Lisa Kreisky. I'm sure I'll have Lisa and some of the ladies on for a chat before the show. Right, so we've had a rundown of what's going on Island. Let's see what our Manxies are up to off Island. First up, Samantha Barks returns to the role of Elsa in Frozen at the Theatre Royal Drury Lane this Friday, the 7th of February. It's also just been announced that Frozen will close its West End run on the 9th of September this year, after a 3-year run. We'll keep an eye on what's happening with that, and keep an ear out for what Sam's up to next. Joe Locke's been keeping busy, and has just made his Broadway debut last week in the role of Tobias Ragg in Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street, at the Lunt-Fontanne Theatre, just off Times Square. He'll be joined on the 9th of February by Aaron Tveert and Sutton Foster in the lead roles of Sweeney Todd and Mrs. Lovett. We also have a third series of Heartstopper to look forward to, and later this year Joe makes his MCU debut in Marvel's TV series Agatha, Darkhold Diaries. And if that wasn't enough, Joe will soon be competing on Stand Up to Cancer's upcoming series of Celebrity Bake Off. Let's hope he ends up with a Hollywood handshake and not a soggy bottom. Matt Overfield, most recently seen on BBC One's Big Night of Musicals, dressed as Angela Merkel, is currently appearing in Mrs. Doubtfire at the Shaftesbury Theatre. Matt is currently playing several ensemble roles and is cover for Daniel and Mrs. Doubtfire, his brother Frank and Mr. Jolly. Matt will be part of the cast until May, when he moves on to be ensemble of Hello Dolly at the London Palladium for a short summer run from the 6th of July to the 14th of September. And that production will have Imelda Staunton in the title role. Perry O'Dea, who also appeared in BBC One's Big Night of Musicals, along with the cast of Guys and Dolls, which is currently running at the Bridge Theatre, where Perry is playing Angie the Ox, as well as a cover for Sky Masterson. Perry can also be seen in the new Wonka film. I've not seen it yet, so I'm not sure how prevalent he is, or if it just requires you to pause at the right moment. Perry can be seen in Guys and Dolls until the end of February, and then he's moving on to other things, and as soon as we find out, we'll let you know what that is. Someone who's not been on my radar until this week is Hannah Morrison, who studied acting at the Italia Conti Academy of Theatre Arts. Hannah is currently performing in Neil Simon's Plaza Suite at the Savoy Theatre until the 13th of April 2024, as understudy for the characters of Jean McCormack and Mimsy Hubley, alongside Matthew Broderick and Sarah Jessica Parker in the lead roles. Now, he's not a Manxie, but he still has a Manx link in that he played Cosmo Brown in Taylorian's 29 production of Singing in the Rain. Josh Barnett is playing Blaine Tuttle in Cruel Intentions, the 90s musical, which has just opened at the Other Palace Theatre. It's based on the 90s movie of the same name, starring Sarah Michelle Gellar, Reese Witherspoon, Ryan Phillippe and Selma Blair, and features a soundtrack of the greatest 90s pop classics, including Losing My Religion, Torn, The Sign, No Scrubs, Genie in a Bottle, I'll Make Love to You, Bye Bye Bye, Sometimes, and of course, Bittersweet Symphony. On the amateur side of things, Matt Ogden has had a busy year playing Lord Flashheart in Blackadder Goes Forth in Marsden, North Huddersfield, and Jimmy Finn in School of Rock with Mossley Amateur Operatic Dramatic Society, for which he's received 2 NODA nominations, for Best Leading Male Character and Best Male Character Comedy Performance. The NODA Awards are this weekend, so he'll find out soon how well he's done. Matt also hosted a podcast called By George, from page to stage, and chronicles the process behind getting a brand new musical set in a Yorkshire chip shop, from the point where it's been written, through auditions, rehearsals, tech week, and right up to the opening of the show. It's a very interesting listen and can be found on most major podcast sites. Since leaving the island, Dean Callow has been heavily involved with the Centenary Theatre Company, based in Warrington, and taking part in the 2 musicals they stage each year. Last year, he played Buddy in their production of Elf the Musical, to rave reviews, and most recently directed their last musical, Nativity, based on the film of the same name. His next performance with the Centenary Theatre Company will be in the ensemble of Phantom of the Opera at the Brindley Theatre in Runcorn from the 14th to the 18th of May. So if you've got a spare few days, get yourself on the boat and get yourself a ticket. I mean, it's great to see all our Manx bred talent doing so well. If there are any other Manxies out there working hard, let me know and I'll give you a mention in a future episode. Make sure you keep up to date with what's going on between episodes by following Manx Theatre Podcast on both Facebook and Instagram, and at Manx Theatre Podcast on X. Now, I met up with Lauren and Matt from the Douglas Choral Union a few weeks ago, so here's my chat with them about Evita. Right, down to business. I'm joined in the studio today by performers Matt Creer and Lauren Molyneux, ahead of Douglas Choral Union's upcoming production of Andrew Lloyd Webber's Evita. Matt, Lauren, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, like I said, we're here to talk about Evita. So this is one of Andrew Lloyd Webber's big, spectacular musicals. This, I think if memory serves me right, will be the 3rd time it's been done on the island. I think it was done back in 2002 by Manx Operatic Society and Anthony Williams Productions. Then again in 2012 by Tellurian Productions. So this is the 3rd time. It's been about 12 years then since the last one. So
Yeah.
That's good. That's a good amount of time, isn't it?
Yeah.
People kind of forgotten the previous versions, and now here we come, DCU's Evita. Tell us all about it.
So we've had Scott St Martin has come in and directed. He did Young Frankenstein
last year, yes.
And then he's come back to do Evita this year. And he said last year when it was announced that he was directing it that he had some really, really cool ideas, and
Great.
he knew exactly what he wanted to do with it, and he had all these visions and everything. And I think the way that it's been done so far, like the staging and the choreography and the casting, actually.
Yeah, it's going to be visually something else, isn't it?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
It sounds amazing. The music so far just sounds, I mean, it's well written, isn't it? But it sounds beautiful. Looking forward to hearing it with the band for the first time. That's going to be epic. But yeah, it's really good. 5 weeks to go now. So
Yeah. The singing with DCU, I think, because they have the DCU choir,
Yeah.
and a lot of people in the company sing together all the time.
Yeah.
It meant that we kind of hit the ground running with this, and the chorus sections just sounded really strong from the first day. So yeah, it's been really exciting.
Yeah. And you're under the guidance again of Steve Dakin
Yeah.
as MD,
Yes.
which is
He's just phenomenal.
brilliant, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
he's meticulous as well.
Yes, he
Like,
is. Yeah.
Stuff has to be right, and it is right. And if it's not, we know about it.
Oh
don't
yeah,
we?
you get told for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there are some very intricate harmonies in there. I mean, like I said, there are some harmonies I could probably sit down and join your rehearsal, having known from like 22
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
It's crazy how ingrained they get. I mean,
But then I think some of the stuff you think that, like I've listened to Evita for years, and I'm like, oh yeah. And then when you go when we went to that first rehearsal and we started to learn the Requiem, it was like, oh no, I
It's
don't know.
chromatic.
I don't know it.
Really discordant and
Yeah, it's
really tricky. Everybody has to just sort of.
It doesn't sound like it should sound nice
No,
when
but
you
it-
sing everything separately, and then when everything comes together, it just sounds amazing.
yeah, yeah. And there's some wonderful rhythms and timings in there as well. I mean, like, the money keeps rolling in.
Yeah.
We love that
Wow.
one.
Oh yeah, that's
We
one
love
of
that
my.
one.
That's
You're not in that the way, Lauren.
I'm around.
Around.
I don't sing in it, thank God.
You don't have to sing it yet. In a
I
good-
am around. I'm in it somewhere.
It's in a
Yeah.
wonderful bit of 7/8, isn't it?
it's
Yeah.
7/8, yeah, and it's there's a lot of words in that song too.
There
a
certainly
lot.
is. I remember that it was a lot of interesting work. That one. getting that right.
It's kept me awake at night. That one.
So in the cast then, so we have Lauren. You are one of 2 Avas.
Yep.
So there's yourself and there's Leah Carter.
Yep. So we do 5 shows each. We split straight down the middle, which is a bit of a godsend. Actually, now it's a marathon. That part. Well, it is arguably the biggest female musical theatre role that's ever been written,
Yeah, I'd say so.
and it's hard work. It's brilliant. I think like the longest time we're off stage in the whole show is something like 3.5 minutes or something like that.
I think I get a whole
time,
10, but you get 3.
In that time, there's a full costume change. There's wig changes.
Is that preparation for the balcony?
That's in the interval, thankfully,
right.
so we get a bit more time for that one. But yeah, it's an absolute marathon. And as we're starting to do runs and stuff now, we're starting to build stamina. But I'm really thankful that there is 2 of us that we're sharing it, because it's hard. It's hard work.
But Jekyll and Hyde is like that for a man, because if Jekyll's not on, then Hyde is, and there's only literally like 2 songs in the entire show where one of them isn't on, and for one of them you're hiding behind the bed ready to kill one of the girls. So it's like you're just lying on the floor.
I think there's one musical number that we're not on stage.
Yeah,
just the one. So
Good.
yeah, it's.
So are you alternating performances then?
Yes, yeah. So just straight alternating, 5 each.
So who gets the glory of opening night?
That's Leah. Yeah,
Leah.
so she gets, but then I get the closing.
You get the closing night.
So, yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. So there's also 2 mistresses as well, isn't there? We've got Evie Skillicorn and Jade Ward.
Yeah. So Jade will be doing the performances with Leah.
Right.
And Evie will be doing the performances with me.
Right.
So they're straight down the middle as well.
So you're always got the same mistress.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay. But Matt, you've got to do them all.
I have.
And Alex too is due and Perron.
I know. Yeah, keeps telling me what I'm doing wrong. No, it's actually been quite useful having Alex there just to bounce ideas off as well, because obviously he played Shay last time.
Yes.
But yes, I get to do. I don't think I'd want to share Shay though. I'm quite enjoying being the only Shay, even though again it is a bit of a marathon.
Yeah, because he's always there, isn't he?
He
always.
is. Yeah.
If he's not involved, he's watching.
Yeah,
he's
so you're constantly on stage. Well, pretty much constantly. I think I'm off stage for about 10 minutes of the whole show.
Yeah, and that's the interval.
But but he's great fun to play, because he's sort of all over the place. He's not. Is he there? Is he not there? Sometimes the number of times that both you and Leah have had to say to Scott, "Can I see him?
Yeah.
Is he actually there or
can
not?
I look at him?
Can I interact with him?" And it's usually no, you can't. No.
Look, I think the only place you really sort of is the Waltz for Ava.
The Waltz, yeah.
Yeah, so that's I think that's really the only bit that.
Yeah, we have a
do
little
interact,
row
really, isn't
in
it?
Perron's Latest Flame. We have a little bit of a niggle in that one.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm just the niggling doubt in the ear. I'm the voice of your
Breathing down your
conscience,
neck.
aren't I?
Keeps scaring the life out of me standing.
That's a
so
fun
close.
number, Perron's Latest Flame.
Yeah, it is good.
Because we had when I was in it in 2002, just getting men to march. How is marching in time to music that's just a strong, like it's a bum bum bum? How is it so hard to march in time? And Spotty Dogs, same arm, same leg, just stop.
It's a tango this time.
Ooh.
So Perron's Latest Flame, a lot of that stuff, they're taking all the men marching out, and it's a tango.
It's quite clever.
Partners tango.
Oh, right, lovely.
It's
It is.
based.
It's different.
Yeah, I think we're more. This production is more like the Broadway revival, the 2012 Broadway revival. So Shay is not Che Guevara. Shay is just Shay.
Right.
So I'm not wearing military fatigues. It's all a bit more. It's a little bit like the movie as well. Sort of more like that. But
So a bit of Banderas,
a
bit of Ricky Martin.
yeah, quite a lot of Ricky Martin, because I never thought I'd say that in my entire life. But
Well, that's where the dialogue has come from, isn't it? There's quite a lot of dialogue.
Yeah, I've got quite a bit of
that's
dialogue.
been taken from that.
But
Leather trousers as well, yeah.
Ricky Martin's great on like there's a bootleg on YouTube that somebody's taken on their phone from Broadway, and he's fantastic.
Yeah.
And he looks like he's loving every second of it.
Hell of a voice, isn't it?
Oh yeah. And again, never thought I'd say that, but he's been a great source of inspiration to me. What have I become?
Molded your life on Ricky Martin.
Yeah.
Okay, so looking elsewhere in the cast then, like I said, we've got Alex Toohey then as Jew and Perron.
Jew and Perron.
Jew and Perron, aye.
It's really hard not to sing that, actually.
I know, yeah. And then there's a massive ensemble. I mean, that's it really for the cast, isn't that's it for the name parts? It's just
we've got Ian Dixon as Magaldi as well.
Oh, of course, yes. Ian.
Yeah,
How can I forget Ian? He's a fantastic voice as well.
Oh, wonderful!
Yeah.
Could listen to him sing the phone book. Really good.
And he's one of the nicest guys to work with as well. Isn't
Yeah.
I mean, he's in the cast now of Jersey Boys, and just to listen to him, and he's playing. I forget which character it is now. Nick,
his name.
So he's playing but he's got the bass in everything. So the majority of his lyrics throughout the entire show was bum 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 bum.
He's wonderful.
It's just so smooth. And, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
But we forgot. We've got Ian as
Magaldi.
Augustine
Magaldi.
Magaldi. Yes. That was played by David Artist the first time it was done over here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's things to aim for.
Yeah.
So other than that, then we've got quite a large ensemble then filling up the roles of Ava's family, and then there's all of the lovers and the generals and
Descamisados.
yes,
yeah,
Lots of them.
the peasants and the aristocracy. It's all they're all there. It's brilliant ensemble. I mean, the quality of the dancing,
The choreography
is
is
just
fantastic.
Fantastic, yeah. I thankfully don't have to do any dancing because no one wants to see that.
We got out of that waltz. We've got
Yeah.
people doing
I
that
have
for
to
us, haven't
do
we?
a very very small bit in the waltz, but nothing too stressful.
So here's the interesting question: who's playing dead Ava?
I don't know.
I believe there might be a
I
mannequin.
think is there a mannequin?
Yeah, I think there might
I
be.
was secretly hoping that the other one of us would be able to just lie there in the cot, but I don't think they're.
Yeah.
Because in the movie, it's a glass coffin, isn't it?
Yes, it
was
is.
supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was.
I don't think it's a
secretly
glass
hoping.
coffin. I think it's because I've got to slam the lid on it. So
It's massive.
yeah,
They
it's
brought
really
it the other
heavy.
day, didn't it? It's
Apparently,
huge.
it's got like 8 people to carry the
Yeah.
thing.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's big. Okay, so looking into some of the numbers of the show, obviously there's some great big set pieces in there.
Yeah.
Which would you say is your favourite from the show?
I've got lots of
Yeah.
songs, lots. When I started, when we started rehearsing, it was definitely High Flying Adored, just because it's the kind of the poppiest,
Yes.
most straightforward song. But as time's gone on, it's got to be Money Keeps Rolling In.
Yeah.
It scared the
Riffing
life
over
out of
the
me to
top.
start with, but it's
Yeah.
just such a fun song. Rainbow Tour as well actually is good fun to do. For me, I just enjoy the storytelling songs. I really like that kind of all the words. But now they're sort of in my brain. I'm enjoying them. Whereas 3 months ago it's like, oh, how am I ever going to remember all of this?
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Yeah.
Of course, then it all revolves around you then telling the story. As well, doesn't it?
It's good. It's good fun.
Now, for me, the best number in the show by far is "You Must Love Me."
Yes,
Beautiful.
I had that thought just as you were literally just about to say it.
I just feel like it's so underrated, and it's one of those that people forget about because obviously you've got "Don't Cry for Me, Argentina" and Buenos Aires and all of the other really iconic ones. I think it's one that gets a bit forgotten about, but I think it's the first time in the show where you really see the vulnerability of the character and people actually feel a little bit sorry for her.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's where you really see that vulnerable side of her. It's heartbreaking, really, actually. And the way that it's been staged, not to ruin anything, but it's super simplistic. And
Spoiler alert: she dies.
No. The way that I wasn't going to say that's on you. But yeah, the way that it's been staged is really simplistic and really sort of because that's all it needs because it's such an emotive and beautiful number. Definitely my favourite, and it's the one that we sang in the audition as well.
Right.
So definitely that one for me is the best one.
And you do sing it beautifully.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, it does.
I'm not going to ask you the question is which one is your favourite of the two Avas. I'm just going
They honestly, I mean, joking aside, whichever night people come to watch, they are being treated to two of the most extraordinary women. Honestly, you guys they are both. To have two performers who can play that part as well as they both do in a place with a relatively small population is just mind-blowing. So we are really spoilt to have these two doing this. It's really special.
Oh. I mean, we're proud of ourselves with it as well, I think, because it is so difficult and we've worked really well together in that we've been able to help each other out a little bit and we've been quite supportive of each other throughout everything. And what's really nice now is as we're starting to get into runs and stuff, we're putting our own stamp on the character. So there are bits that we're doing totally differently, which is good because it's our interpretation of the role. And I think it's important that audiences see that in an actor.
Keeps me on my toes too, because they respond differently to me being horrible to them.
Yeah, it must make it interesting then as
well.
well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
you're not just churning out the same thing night after night after night
exactly.
as well.
Yeah, it's good.
But it's really interesting from my point of view anyway to see like Leah's interpretation and it has been really, really interesting, and we've worked really, really well together.
Yeah.
So it's been a really nice experience actually.
It must be nice sitting there actually and having someone that you can go, that worked, that didn't, and you can go, oh,
we can
what did she
bounce
do there?
ideas
That was
off
really
each
good.
other,
I'm
and
going to try that myself. Yeah.
we've been a proper little team, and we're a bit of a united front.
We
as
definitely
well.
are. Yeah.
Like
it's really nice.
it's been really refreshing to have that really nice working relationship, really supportive and lovely.
Fantastic.
It's been good for me too, because obviously I'm not that experienced in doing these shows, and to have these guys who are just giving little notes and advice has been really useful.
Oh.
Yeah, Matt, don't do that.
Yeah, no. What was it you said to me? Oh yeah, because I got some really high notes in When It Keeps Rolling In.
Yeah.
I'm channeling the old Jesus Christ Superstar, and you said after, I've just got a note for you. When you sing that note, does it hurt? And I went, no. And she went, well, tell your face that. So it's just, nice supportive stuff like that.
Yeah. I can picture that now.
Yeah. Well, it was, to be fair, because I didn't realise I was screwing my face up while I was doing it.
So you started, back in August, was it? September,
Yeah.
right, yeah. So auditions were before summer, weren't they?
Yeah, June.
I think so.
When did you?
Feels like a long time ago now.
Yeah.
So you've also then had Sarah Holland as assistant director and Bryony as the AMD.
Yeah.
Yes.
Putting you through your paces.
Yes.
I mean, Sarah's brilliant. Just like again.
Yeah. Oh, she's a taskmaster. We never believe her anymore when she's like, one more time. I'm like, no, it's not. Don't lie.
Last time.
Yeah.
One more
no,
time.
it isn't. It's only 9:30. It's not one more time. We'll be here till 10:30.
I remember many years ago, did Hello Dolly with the Manx Operatic Society. This is like 2003, I think it was. And in the show, there's a number called Before the Parade Passes By. And the last 16, 20 bars was just this really elaborate sort of semaphore type maneuver. And it was like, one more time, until we get everyone to get it right. And then Matt James would get it wrong. And it's one more time for Matt. And it's like, oh, again.
She does say that, doesn't she?
There
She's
has
like,
been
if you do it good, then we don't have to do it. We have to do it once.
Yeah. There's been a lot of that, because there's a huge amount of choreography in this show.
Yeah.
But I just stand there and watch.
Really
I mean, Sarah says that if you do it really good, we'll do it once. You should go, brilliant, do it again.
Yeah.
Or she's now got the excuse of, we'll do it one more time so the other Ava can have a go.
Yeah.
And we're like,
Yes, that's the one. Okay, Lauren, how did you get started then? What was it that first got you into the theatre?
Oh gosh. So I danced from when I was a baby. So when I was like 3, I went to baby ballet and stuff. So I'm not from the Isle of Man. I'm from St Helens.
Right.
In Merseyside, so I grew up and did a lot of my training and stuff there. So I danced from when I was little, and that obviously got me interested in performing and being on stage. But then when I went to secondary school, I found a bit of a singing voice somewhere, and I auditioned for, our school used to do a Stars in Their Eyes competition.
Yeah.
And I auditioned for that as Avril Lavigne, because I wanted to be Avril Lavigne. I think every
Skater Boy.
teenage girl in 2005 wanted to be Avril Lavigne. And I did sing Skater Boy. And one of my music teacher sort of pulled me and was like, you've got some potential. And then they gave me singing lessons. So I had singing lessons all the way through secondary school, and then got involved in the school productions and stuff. We had a really good performing arts department at my school. So it was from there, really. And then I went on and did my degree in musical theatre and my master's degree in musical theatre.
And you studied at Mountview?
Yeah, so I did my undergrad degree at Colchester Institute.
Right. In Essex?
And so I spent 3 years there. And then I went to Mountview for a year and did my master's at Mountview for the 1 year. Yeah, 2015.
And now you're a drama teacher at Ballacabeen?
I am, yes. So I'm on my 5th year now. I did always want to teach. It was always something that I saw myself doing eventually.
Yeah.
And then when I graduated from my teacher training, there were no jobs where I lived.
Yeah.
And it was Adrienne Burnett, who she used to go teacher shopping, I think, at the universities. And she came over to John Moore's, where I was doing my training, and she kind of sold the dream and talked about teaching on the island and teaching at Bala. And then I arranged a chat with her. She offered me an interview. And yeah, so I've been over here since 2019, and it was one of my colleagues.
Just in time for lockdown.
Yeah, literally just in time for lockdown. Couldn't think of a nicer place to be locked down, to be fair. But it was one of my colleagues at work who'd said, when I said I was into theatre and stuff, she was like, oh, you should get involved in the theatre here. The theatre scene here is really, really good. You should get involved. And once I got my first year of teaching out of the way, I thought, well, I'll audition for something. And Shrek was the first one that sort of popped up. So I went and auditioned for that, and it blew my mind how good everybody was.
Yeah.
Like I had no idea what to expect. I hadn't been to see a show over here because it had been COVID and lockdown, and there hadn't really been any.
Yeah.
So I hadn't seen anything.
DCU just managed to squeak in Sound of Music just
before
lockdown.
Yeah, but I didn't see that.
Ghost, unfortunately, was due to happen the week that we locked down,
but I never saw it, and then I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know anybody at all at the auditions.
Yeah.
And I turned up and I was, blew my mind how good everybody was. It was brilliant. Not used to it at all. So straight away I was like, this is going to be good.
Yeah.
This is going to be good. And wasn't expecting to be given the understudy Fiona. That was like a big surprise.
Yeah, no, I saw you. I saw you in Trek, and I didn't realise it was you. I thought the makeup makes Dandy look really different, doesn't it? And it wasn't until like halfway through they mentioned it to my wife, and she went, "That's because it's not Dandy, it's Lauren." And I'm like, really? Oh, all right, okay.
Yeah, no, that was such a good show.
It was lovely. I was playing in the orchestra for that one, and it was the first show after lockdown. It was the first the theatre opened. It was a perfect show for that as well, I think, because it was
so
such
fun and so
really
feel
heartwarming.
Good. Yeah,
bright and colourful.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Yeah, and that's the first time I'd heard you sing, because we were working together at the time.
We were, yeah.
And I was like, okay,
Okay,
she knows what she's doing.
Yeah. So what was the first part that you played then? Whether it's at high school or
the first musical I was ever in, I was 10, and I was one of the children in The King and I.
Oh right, okay.
In St Helens, so that would have been 2003. Yeah, so that was the first musical I was ever in. But the first proper part I think I had was I did Eponine in Les Mis at school. That was a school thing, and that was the first sort of like lead role that I had. Once I'd had a few like singing lessons and stuff, but I've not really had many. I think all the way through my training and stuff, I was always, because I was always a dancer. Yeah. All the way through uni, and that I was always ensemble dance captain, because that was where I kind of sat. It's only now that I'm starting to do lead roles and stuff. Yeah. It's really fun. It's different. It's exciting.
So Matt, I don't want to say strengths because that sounds a bit mean, but your sort of your preference rather is the music and in the pit. But
I come from I studied at music college. I studied trumpet, so my background is orchestral and brass bands and all of that. And I had a similar experience though when I moved to the island in 2001. I'd been freelance trumpet playing in London after music college, and had done quite a lot of regional theatre gigs. And you turn up to somewhere you'd never heard of to do Billy Liar or West Side Story or
proper sort of church.
Oh blimey! Yeah. And you sit through it and you think, wow, okay. And then I got the first opportunity I got to play here. I think I stood in for Paul Hamilton in Wizard of Oz.
Right.
And that was my first experience of Manx Theatre. And
was it Taylorian?
It was the same. Yeah, it was a good while ago now, and it was the same thing. It was just, crikey, these guys are amazing. This is not my experience of amateur theatre.
Yeah.
And it is just it says a lot, but we really are just so lucky here. But the quality, it was the same with. I was just like, wow. So any opportunity to play in the pit, I'm there. Like, yes, please.
Yeah, and you've sung in bands and things over the years as well, haven't you?
Yeah. I've sort of came to singing a bit later in life.
Yeah.
When I was sort of writing my own songs and needed somebody to sing them, so I did.
Yeah.
And then so but I hadn't sort of gone through the musical theatre route prior to Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yes. So, just no real, experience on stage, then comes on auditions for the first show and gets Jesus and Jesus Christ Superstar. I mean, that's a good place to start, isn't it?
Yeah, well,
ease yourself in gently.
I think that was the thing, because I was approached for that show.
Yeah.
And I think what had happened was they were struggling to cast it, because it does require a very specific and fairly pointless set of skills vocally.
And a lot of men, that show, actually. So,
yeah, a lot.
And we already had a lot of men.
And at the time, I looked like Jesus, and I think that was the thing. Like, he looks like Jesus, he'll do.
He'll do.
Yeah.
He can sing and looks like Jesus. That's our man.
Exactly. And that was, what an experience that show was.
Yeah.
I mean, where do you go from there, really? And then this came up, and I thought, oh, I do fancy having a crack at Shay. So, yeah, thankfully I got the part, and I'm loving it.
Brilliant. What's that? 9 years later, then. So it was about 2015, I think it was. Was it
2016? So it'll be 8 years, was it?
8 years.
8 years when we. Yeah. Wow.
So what we're looking at? What, 2032 then for the next one? Maybe it's a Sweeney Todd in 2032. Just to hit that triple, yeah. Okay. It's pointless asking you what's been your favourite role, because there's only two to choose from. But
I think Shay.
Yeah.
Partly because my costume's a lot more comfortable.
Yeah. There's probably more to do because obviously Jesus Christ Superstar really is Judas's story, isn't it?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
There's so much more meat in there for Judas than Jesus. So.
Yeah, I've got so much more to do in Evita.
Yeah.
And he's just, I mean, Jesus, obviously it's an iconic role, but he's fairly two-dimensional in terms of he's either sad or he's angry.
Yes.
That's sort of it through the whole show. Or dead, yeah. So, whereas Shay's a challenge because half the time you don't know what he's supposed to be on stage at that moment. But he kind of revels in winding people up. And
do you mix in and out of all the cast and the ensemble as well? And just
he's like a little chaos goblin.
He's like a waiter and stuff at times.
Yeah,
isn't he?
just winding Magaldi up and just it's good fun, and it's a completely different sort of role.
Yeah.
I suppose it's the Judas equivalent. He's the narrator as well.
Yeah.
But, a lot more to do. So I would say, sorry, Jesus, but
sorry,
but yeah, I think Shay's more fun.
Yeah.
And he keeps his clothes on as well, which is great.
Don't get covered in blood.
No.
Lauren, how about you? What's the favourite role that you played?
The most interesting one that I've done, and it's totally different to anything I've ever done before and probably ever will do, was playing one of the saints in Hunchback.
Oh, right, yes.
That was ridiculous. Because I think when they phoned and said we want you to be one of the saints, I thought, oh, okay, great, that'll be different. And in the first rehearsal, it was with Sarah, and she took us into the kitchen. We were at Lockprom Church, and she took all 6 of us into the kitchen, and she went, right, pick a spot, stare at the wall, stand still, 5 minutes, go. And it was the hardest thing.
Yeah.
We were all, after like a minute and a half, all of us except for Andy were sweating. Like, it was dead hard. But
Twitching.
It's really hard. And then you're like licking your lip, and you're like, it's really difficult.
You get an itch.
Yeah, you do. You invent itches as well. Like, you're suddenly like, what if my leg itches? And then your leg starts itching, and you're like, but that was really, really good. And it looked really effective when we watched it back.
Yeah.
And with the lighting and the costumes and the makeup and everything that we had, that was
grey makeup that looked like marble.
Yeah, it looked amazing. Like the makeup team and the way that, I mean, they're always sensational.
Yeah.
And it's what makes the production sometimes, is the costume and the makeup and all that. And I think especially with the Saints, that's what made it, and it made it so effective. It was just that was such an interesting, different role to be able to do, and to sing in 6-part harmony and to sing the beautiful songs. It was that was just a beautiful show to be a part of.
I remember going to watch Hunchback and just being taken aback by the wall of sound that came at you from the choir, and just amazing.
I was in the pit for that one as well, and that's probably my favourite to play in the band for, because it was so orchestral. It's up there with Les Mis in terms of how epic the music was.
That Sitzprobe, when we were in, and we do him in the Ballacamine canteen, and the acoustics in there are like spot on.
Yeah.
And it's just that opening, the bells of Notre Dame. As soon as that started, that drum at the beginning, I was like, oh, goosebumps. It was amazing.
And Hellfire.
Hellfire.
So good. So good.
Yeah, it was. That was an amazing show.
Sitzprobe is one of my favourite parts of the whole thing, and I remember sitting there the first time we had like the full band for Jesus Christ Superstar, and get those guitars going, just goosebumps and the hair stand up your
It's when it really starts to feel real as well, isn't it? When you get everything starts to come together at that point. And
also as well, the thing I always really love about Sitzprobe is that you suddenly find that the violin or something is playing that line that you've always had trouble with. And you go, there it is, I can hear it, and that's that finally clicks into place then.
There's going to be a few of those for me, I think.
Yeah, just play that loudly, please.
You're listening to the Manx Theatre Podcast with Neil Callin.
Okay, what would be the dream role that you would love to play? What's the top of that bucket list?
Well, I had two. One of them is this.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big tick. The other one is something I've always wanted to do, which is Fanny Brace, Funny Girl.
I
feel like that would just be so fun and silly and ridiculous to do. But it's a character with so much depth, as well as like all the fun and the daft stuff. I just think it would be so much fun to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's mine.
How about you, Matt?
Valjean.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I played in the orchestra for the most recent Les Mis, and I was torn because the trumpet parts in that are wonderful, but equally I was thinking, maybe I should have auditioned for that one. But I'm up against Jonathan Slight for that, and I think no, he was phenomenal, and Alex. They were both brilliant.
Yeah, I'd love to have a crack at Javert at some point.
Judas as well, actually.
Yeah.
I think if Superstar was on again and I wasn't too old, I just want to be able to sing Heaven on Their Minds, really.
Well, don't we all?
Yeah.
Okay, here's an interesting one for you then. So what's the funniest or the strangest thing that's happened on stage that you may or may not have been able to get away with without the audience picking up on?
I don't know.
You've probably got more experience of this than me.
Well, I mean, it's just like little things and nothing really massive. It's just little things, when you like corpse and stuff and things make you laugh and you've got to try not, or having a coughing fit, or do you know what I mean? It's just little things, I suppose.
I had my
really
head mic
major.
ripped off my head in Jesus Christ Superstar during the flogging scene, and then I have to whisper to it was Mike Bonner as pilot, and I was sort of trying, almost having to kiss him to get to his mic to try and use his mic. And the crown of thorns fell around my neck like a necklace on one night as well. But I have there's lots of stuff goes on in the pit that you don't see. There's practical jokes get played. And,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so
Sweets get swept around.
well, it was in Hunchback, because I play. I'm going to get a little bit geeky about brass instruments now, but I play soprano cornet in a brass band, and they are in a different key to B-flat trumpets, which are in orchestras. And we were away to Blackpool to compete, so I played the whole of Hunchback on an E-flat trumpet. But because I'm getting older and I don't really do transposition on sight anymore, I'd written it all out, so I had it. Anyway, a certain MD for that show decided it'd be hilarious in the interval to turn all my music for the second half upside down. So I opened it up to start the second half, and all my music was upside down. So yeah, thank you, Steve.
Was that Mr. Dakin?
Yes, it was, yes. And that's not the worst thing he's done to anybody in the pit either, but I'll let him tell you that.
I remember in Hunchback he had the little spoons with the happy and the sad face.
Yes.
He was holding up to the camera. I clocked that because I was like down row C or D, and I'm like, what's on those spoons? You weren't supposed to see those spoons. I wonder if he's going to bring the spoons back for Evita.
He hasn't got time.
He hasn't got time.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Because there's no dialogue in Evita.
Well, no, it's largely sent through, isn't it?
Yeah, and the music is relentless.
Yes.
So it's a huge job for him and for the band.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just have one big spoon for the end, a big happy spoon and a big sad spoon for the end of the show.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's going to get a lot of use out of the happy spoon and not a lot out of the sad spoon.
Absolutely,
Obviously,
yes.
Unless it's just sad that she's died. So.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about you said about corpsing and stuff like that. So back in 2004, we did the summer season with Rocky Horror in Greece, and the guys in the band were throwing up ridiculous things every night. So there's a line where, what's the doctor? Dr. von Braun. He says, you see, Eddie happens to be. And the band would shout up a midget, a transvestite, they just throw a donkey, just random things every night, because they were getting told off every night for corpsing and laughing, and I was getting told off the most. I'm like, I'm in a pair of pants, and that is it. Everyone else has got other clothes over the top, so they can't see the fact that they're laughing. Yeah, so it's the more you're wearing, the more you get away with these kind of things, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Ooh, costumes then. What's the best and worst costumes that you've ever had to wear?
Oh, my favourite one. Again, going back to Shrek. So I was ensemble I was Fiona for 2 shows, and then I was ensemble for the rest of the shows. But on the last night, because the show was supposed to be in February, and then there was loads of lockdowns, and they delayed it until May. The new show dates, Alice Quayle, who was playing Dragon, couldn't make the last night because she had other commitments. So I got to do Dragon on the last night as well, which was great. But that costume,
Yeah,
it's like if you ever have put something on and feel like a powerful woman, it's that costume. It was amazing. And Jude went to town on the makeup and the wig. Oh, it was amazing. I didn't want to take it off, and I only got to wear it for one song. But
yeah.
Have you ever put any costumes on, Matt, and felt like a powerful woman?
Well, I only have the 2 to
see Jude borrow that costume.
Yeah. So the worst costume was definitely the loincloth.
Yes.
Which had to have a climbing harness underneath it,
Yes,
because
it did.
I had to be clipped to a cross that was suspended about 15 feet above the stage.
Yeah.
And that, you were talking about Rocky Horror.
Yeah.
And being in... Oh, sorry, no.
Yeah,
Rocky Horror in your pants.
Yeah.
In front of 800 people.
Yeah.
No carbs for me. So I'm really pleased that Shay is dressed as a waiter for the entire show.
Gets to keep
I
his
don't
clothes
have
on.
a costume change. I think I have
Yeah.
to take a jacket and a hat off at one point, and that's me. But you've got
Lucky
some really nasty ones, haven't you?
Costume changes, wig changes.
You've got like a 28-second wig change or something.
Something like that. We're getting changed 3 times on stage.
Yeah.
Because there is no time to leave the stage to get changed. So we're literally singing a song and
Behind
having
the-
people
All right.
dressing us.
Rainbow High. There's that.
Rainbow
That number,
High,
yes.
Money, yeah. There's 3 times High Flying Adored.
High Flying
where
Adored, yeah.
We're on
Yeah.
stage getting changed. Oh, it's mad. Mental.
Just thinking back to the first couple of shows that I did. So I did Hot Mikado in '99 with Manx Operatic. It was the first show that I did there, and that show was great. One costume the whole way through, and that was it. The following year we did Chess. I had 16 or 18 changes in the
God.
first half. And the quickest one was something like 45 seconds whilst they sang Hymn to Chess, and had to go around and change from one full sort of suit, trousers, waistcoat, tie, hat, jacket, shoes, to a completely different set of like sparkly silver trousers and a wing collar shirt with a different bow tie and a different jacket. So there was no underdressing or anything like that.
Nope.
You couldn't sort of go, right, I can half dress that and then just whip those things off. And then, the first couple of nights through tech, and you're literally just making it on stage whilst still dressing yourself. And then by the end of the week, you're like, just got my cuffs out, my collar out, and let's go.
I think that's another reason why The Saints was one of my favourite roles, because it was like we'd be on stage. In each act, we had a good 15-20 minutes of being off stage, and we didn't have to change. So that would be going backstage, eating some Percy Pigs, having a gossip,
Playing a
top
couple
your
of hands.
lips up and off you pop.
I've
Like, it
just
was great.
remembered the end of Superstar as well. I don't know if you remember this, where they did a body swap. As I've come off the cross,
Yeah,
put me on the floor, and the ensemble surround me,
yeah.
and then I duck off stage, and then they swaddle Dominic,
Oh, yeah.
but the audience can't see it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I've gone out down the side of the theatre, sprinted the full
Yes.
length of the building, to then, still covered in blood, to be put into this crisp white
Yeah.
resurrection gown, to then walk up the middle of the
Yeah.
theatre.
I'd forgotten about. I think I was
yeah.
finished by then.
That
'cause,
was
yeah. As the
stressful.
priests, we just kind of like done our bit.
Yeah,
He's
that's
been
it.
crucified. Laters, we're off to the pub.
yeah.
Because there was no bows either, was there?
No.
So
no
literally
bows.
that was it. Once that crucifixion was done, we were finished.
Yeah.
We were back up the dressing rooms, changed, and curtains coming down, and we're at the door. See you later. Oh, right, okay. Is there a new show with the part in it that you would love to play, but you can't because you're sadly just a little bit too old now?
Something just popped into my head actually now, because there's a Mean Girls musical now.
Yes,
isn't
there is.
And I think again, everyone my age grew up watching Mean Girls, and I don't think this part would ever be in my wheelhouse anyway. But Regina George, Mean Girls, just the chance to be really horrible,
Yeah.
like a really horrible, like that. That's always fun to play, isn't it?
Yes, because there was the film, and then there was the musical, and now
And now
this
there's the
year's the
musical
coming
film.
out is the musical of the film, yes.
Yeah.
Or the film of the musical, rather, yeah. So Regina George, okay.
Mm.
On Wednesdays we wear pink. Something like that, anyway.
Yeah.
Matt,
Well, I'm 48, so I'm pretty much too old for everything now. I don't know. No.
No.
No. I'm my knowledge of new shows is sadly lacking. But yeah, like I say, I mean, I think if there's any roles come up in the future, they will be for the older parts, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm sort of clinging on at the moment.
Okay, so we're all the wrong side of 40 these days.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Yeah. We're into the parent roles now, isn't it? And, yeah. It comes to the best of us, I suppose. Okay, well, with that in mind then, if you're not quite so up on the newer shows, is there an older show that hasn't been done for a long time that you might like to see brought back? Because there are a few shows that are coming out and right now that are like, really good old-fashioned shows that have been given a real modern spin to them and brought up to date, like Cabaret in London, and Guys and Dolls.
I've heard that's incredible.
Both of those shows. Guys and Dolls is by far one of the most amazing shows I think I've ever seen. It's up there with producers for me, just especially with that standing ticket, being in on the floor and experiencing it all down there. It's just a phenomenal experience.
I don't know. I love all the old fashions. I love anything Rodgers and Hammerstein, and especially stuff like where you've got Carousel in Oklahoma and they've got the big dream ballet sequences. Anything like that, because when West Side Story was done again recently, like they managed really well to keep true to the plot and to the story and everything, but they modernised it just as much as it needed to be. Yeah. For it to still be effective and for it to still all sort of make sense and still be the same. And it would be great if they could do something like that with like Carousel or Oklahoma or something, but keep the dream ballets as they were and keep it. That would be really cool.
I was very fortunate enough about 12, 13 years ago to see West Side Story in New York.
Wow.
So on Manhattan, watching these gangs and the two gangs, the Jets and the Sharks, they were all the right age. They were all sort of between 17 and 22, really. That was that proper age. And the Sharks were all Latinos, so they were all proper Puerto Ricans. They weren't just white guys with a heavy spray tan. They were proper ethnic, the proper ethnicities for the roles. And then at various points throughout the show, they just changed the lyrics into Spanish. So there'd be a verse in the middle of I Feel Pretty that was in Spanish, and but anything that was important and plot driven, English. But then they would just drift off into Spanish in those little places. It was just the experience was amazing.
Musically,
I saw it in Manchester. It was at the Royal. There was a production at the Royal Exchange a few years back, and it was like really minimalist. It was literally just some scaffolding. Yeah, that was all they had as part of their set, but it worked so well. And I think some shows you don't need all the bells and whistles and massive set. Like that's all that it needed, and that it kind of spoke for itself.
It's like this revival of Sunset Boulevard in London at the moment. There is no set. There's just a giant sort of screen at the back of the stage, and it's very Marmite with some people. Some people absolutely love it, and other people are like, I just don't get it.
Yeah. You mentioned West Side Story. I mean, from a orchestral trumpet player's point of view, that is the ultimate show. That is one of the hardest things I've ever played. I'd love to do that again. Yeah. It's the music is just extraordinary.
What's the favourite show that you've played in?
Here on the island?
Well, here or anywhere.
I think it's a close one between Hunchback and Les Mis. Yeah. Just from a personal point of view, in terms of the music, I think Hunchback's got it. Yeah. Is that because it was more challenging, or was just? It was epic. Yeah. Like you said, that wall of sound was just such a privilege to be part of. And you did feel like you were sort of riding this wave of sound. Yeah, that it'd be Hunchback or Les Mis, just because the music is really orchestral and rich and big, and you've got a big band.
Stirring.
And plenty to do as well.
Yeah. I mean, there's that old adage, that when you're doing a show, you become a big family, because for the majority of the cast, you're rehearsing 2-3 times a week for 4, 5, 6 months in the run up to that show. But do you get the same atmosphere down in the pit then? I mean, you look in the pit and it's largely the same people every show, so it's like everyone's back again.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's great for me because invariably I'm sat next to Jack, who played Judas. We both play the trumpet, and I mean, how many places in the world have you got two trumpet players who were Jesus and Judas, and then when they're not on stage playing in the pit? I love that. So, and Jack's a lot of fun.
Do you reckon you'll miss that a bit this time round?
I won't have time to miss it.
Yeah.
I think I'll be. No, I'm looking forward to being back on stage. And
I'm surprised Scott hasn't found a way to get you to play whilst on stage.
Actually, yeah, it'd be quite funny, wouldn't it, if Shay was up at the back on the balcony just joining in on Buenos Aires.
The next rehearsal with Scott and he's going, I've had an idea. Oh, here's a good one. Now this one always sort of gives us has a real sort of mixed reaction, and this is our gender swap question. So if you could play any part of the opposite gender, what would it be?
You've already said mine before. I've always fancied giving Javert a go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the part?
So sassy.
Yeah.
And and it's that bass, it's that bassy quality of all of the songs, and Stars is just one of my favourite songs ever. Yeah. I think I love it.
I'm going to stick with the same show, actually, and Eponine, because she's got the most beautiful song in the whole show, I think. So, yeah, why not?
Yeah. And Eponine's a bit more interesting than Cosette as well.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Because she's got she's mixed in with the Thénardiers, and it's all, yeah. And you get a nice death as well.
Yeah.
You like a death.
I like a good death.
You like a good death.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we're nearly there. So the last bit for us then really is the Spotify playlist. Mm-hmm. So back in 2020, as we came out of lockdown, Neil King and we came up with our musical theatre playlist. And the idea is for us to come up with what we feel would be the ultimate musical theatre playlist. So Neil and I started with 10 songs each to get it going, because no one wants to listen to a playlist with 2 songs, because that's really quick and it's not really a list. Then every person who's come onto the podcast since then has added their own song. Now these songs are all songs that either mean something special to us, they're songs that we've sung, or the songs that have come from shows that we've been in. Let's have a quick look at the list and see what we can get. So we've got some highlights. So Bethany McGee chose the I Love You song from the 25th annual Putnam Spelling Bee. Dandy Dancox chose What Baking Can Do from The Waitress. Jonathan Slate chose Damned for All Time from Jesus Christ Superstar. And I think that he specified that was the one from the 1978 movie as well.
I like that. Yeah. You see, I'd have my because I've noticed there's Gethsemane and Heaven on Their Minds as well, and I know which versions and who would be singing it for me as well on those. So,
and most importantly from this list, Ailish Creer chose Top of the World from The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yes, that's a solid choice.
She nicked that one from me.
So, guys, what song would you like and why?
So when I was at school, we did a production of Parade, Jason Robert Brown, which is not a very well-known one, and again, super underrated, and it's got some beautiful, beautiful emotional songs in it, and I could have picked any song from that show. It's my favourite show, always has been, but the opening number of that show is called The Old Red Hills of Home, and it's just makes me feel great every time I listen to it. It's just that opening, it's brilliant. So that would be mine.
Brilliant. See, this is what I love about this little section, is that people bring up shows that I've either never listened to or haven't listened to for a long, long time, and it makes me go back and then listen to those. Then, like, when I was sort of doing some research for this the other day, I then had to put Evita on whilst I was listening. Like, I love those songs. Matt, what's your song? So
I'm going for one from Hamilton,
because
that got me through lockdown. When Disney just released it.
Disney Plus. Hamilton was the first thing we all watched, wasn't it?
Thank you so much, but yeah, Disney. Schuyler Sisters. It's just such a tune. And that particular, the production on Disney Plus, and they're walking on the rotating stage.
Yes,
and it's,
the Revolve,
it's so cool. So yeah, that for me. And that cast are exceptional. Just amazing.
It's an amazing performance as well, and it's one of those things that every time you watch it, you see something new as well. I mean, I wouldn't like to put a number on how many times I think I've watched it. I mean, if there was a way of seeing the data in the back of Disney Plus, it'd probably be looking over 30 times I think I've watched it now. But yeah, listen, still every time I watch it, I'm still seeing something new in the background, or someone up on the balconies above.
It's an absolute tune.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Right, thank you very much, guys. Evita
you.
then is playing at the Gaiety Theatre from the 9th to the 17th of February, with nightly performances at 7:30. There's a 2:30 matinee only on Sunday the 11th, and we've got both evening and matinee performances on Saturday the 10th and the 17th. If you've not done so already, make sure you get your tickets from villagaiety.com or by calling 600 555. And I would say be quick about it, because they're probably selling out quick.
They're doing all right. Yeah,
they
they're doing
are,
pretty well
yeah.
at the moment.
Ticket sales are
Yeah.
doing well.
Yeah, faster than sort of average, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, I've noticed this actually over the last year. Actually, pre-sales really have started to pick up well, which is good because
Yes.
for a long time you're sitting there like 2 weeks before and going, we've literally sold like 10 tickets on this. But it's
People
great to
book
see.
last minute though, don't they?
They do.
Yes,
Yeah.
And Manx audiences are bad for like let's see someone else go first.
Yeah.
Tell me what they think of it, and then I'll buy.
And then
tickets.
we'll all come on the last night, and they'll have
And then
to
we'll all
open the
complain
gods.
that we
Yeah.
can't get tickets
Yeah,
because
that's
they're
it.
sold out early on.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right then. Well, Matt, Lauren, thank you very much for coming to chat to me on the podcast. And I
Thank
wish
you.
you and
Thank you for
all
having
the
us.
Douglas Choral Union all the very best with Evita. And we'll see you again soon.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
You're listening to the Manx Theatre Podcast.
Coming up in the next couple of months, we have stage door entertainment with Steel Magnolias at the Ballacomine Studio Theatre from the 14th to the 17th of March. The Studio Theatre is also continuing its National Theatre live screenings with Vanya, starring Andrew Scott, playing every part. The Motive and the Cue with Mark Gatiss as John Gielgud and Johnny Flynn as Richard Burton. And Nye, starring Michael Sheen as Aneurin Nye Bevan between now and April. Hot on the heels of Steel Magnolias, the Manx Operatic Society present Oliver at the Gaiety Theatre from the 16th to the 23rd of March, and I'll be chatting to a few members of the cast in an upcoming episode. The Madfa Easter Festival of Plays runs at the Gaiety Theatre from the 30th of March to the 4th of April, and will once again comprise both the full-length and one-act plays. Then it's the summer. We've got Two Feathers in July with Jersey Boys, and Taylorian in August with We Will Rock You. The auditions for We Will Rock You happened this weekend. However, at the point of recording, no cast list has yet been published, but I'll be sure to share it with you when it is. Hopefully, I'll get a chance to talk to some of those on the podcast close to the time. Well, with that, we bring episode 51 to a close. Thanks once again to Matt and Lauren for joining me on the podcast. We wish them and everyone involved with the DCU's production of Evita all the very best. Remember to go and book your tickets by visiting the Villa Gaiety box office, the Welcome Centre, villagaiety.com, or by calling 600 555. If you've not got your tickets yet, what are you doing? They're selling out fast, so don't leave it too late. Make sure you like and follow our social media pages to get notifications of upcoming episodes and events. And don't forget to check out the Spotify playlist by searching for Manx Theatre Podcast, and that's all one word. There's almost 90 tracks on there now, and over 6 hours of show tunes to satisfy your musical theatre needs. If you have any events that you'd like to talk about or promote in a future episode, you can contact me through the social media accounts or by email to manxtheatrepodcast@gmail.com. Well, all that remains is to say thanks for listening, and I hope you join me again next time. I've been Neil Callin, and you've been listening to the Manx Theatre Podcast. Goodbye.
The Manx Theatre Podcast, taking a look behind the scenes of Manx Theatre.
And happier than actors alive for me.